Alright, let me find a fucking place to put this. I already took a shower, so, you get to just deal with my naked face. Anyway, Artemis, what you doing, babe? Does that work? Alright, that works. Solid. Insights that have come up for this full moon in Scorpio. Pretty profound. Unsurprisingly. Unsurprisingly, you hate me too. We only communicate. You want to go out there? We were just hanging out here. Can you just wait a couple minutes? Can you wait a couple minutes, Artemis? Can you just wait a couple minutes? Okay? When we need to fight, but we are best friends, right? Anyway. Got a Scorpio North Node, got a Scorpio Moon, I don't know why I said that weird. So, my name of the game is transformation, all about it, here for it. I am a transformational coach for women. I help women navigate, oh motherfucker, Artemis, endings of closing out cycles and bringing about new. I essentially help women navigate through cycles of death and rebirth. All right, hold on. I gotta take care of my cat. Homegirl. What is going on? I hear you. You wanna go out there? All right, fine. Just wait a minute. Hold on, I gotta do a couple things though. Can you let me close this? Meow. All right. Great. Anyway. A little bit of patience here. All right, sick. So, realizations that I've had for this full moon Scorpio. Very intense, by the way, very intense. But essentially, detachment, non-judgment, being able to see the higher perspective of things in regards particularly to projections and betrayal, right? So, I don't fucking know, dude. If you know, you know. Like, if you're someone who is a truth seeker and truth speaker and you see clearly through illusions, it can be very confusing. At least for myself, it's been very confusing to understand others and why they do the things that they do. In regards to like emotional manipulation, shit like that. And I didn't get it, and it used to really it really hurt me. The fuck is that? Artemis! God damn it, hold on. Bruh. What is going on? Artemis, where are you? Oh, are you good? I swear I just heard something. Okay. Interruptions here. Anyway, yeah, projections, emotional manipulation used to really hurt me, and so there's been a couple things that have come up to the surface for me personally, because I kept going through, I like sharing stories, bro, so I'm gonna do it. I kept going through these cycles of people projecting on me and me just genuinely, I don't understand, it doesn't make sense to me, because it's not who I am. And I didn't get it, and I used to take it really personally, and I used to really take it to heart, and it would really, really fucking hurt my feelings, right? And so I kept going through this cycle of dealing with narcissistic people, liars, very ego-driven people. And this last round really made me see things in a different light, because before with people, it was always people who I genuinely cared about. So I would be in situations with people who would project, but they were or emotionally manipulate me or be narcissistic, all the above. But it was a boyfriend or my family. And so they were people who meant a lot to me and who I had deeply in my heart, who I really gave a fuck about. And this last round, it wasn't really someone I cared about at all. It was like my roommate, and don't really know her that well, so don't really like give a shit about her on a personal level. There really wasn't much like emotional attachment there. I am an empath, so I'm like really, really sensitive to energies. So I could definitely feel what was going on energetically, but it was easier for me to detach and recognize when she was projecting on me and just be like, no, I'm gonna give you back your energy. Like, this is not my energy. When I'd be in a shared space with her, because we lived together, I would just be like, okay, like I can recognize that that's your energy, that's not my energy, because I know what my energy is. So that was easier, and there wasn't emotional attachment to create distortion. I think before I was too close, I cared too much, and that created distortion and made me take things personally. Now that's on me. But I say all this to say, you know, this time, yes, it was still frustrating, right? But I can see it from a different viewpoint now because I was pretty objective the whole time, whereas before I was emotionally entangled. So, confirmation beep. I guess what I'm trying to say with all of this is I don't care. I don't care anymore. And oh my God, it feels so fucking peaceful, dude. I think this is the moment that I've been like wanting to get to, you know, like I went through a spiritual awakening that was seeing all of the dark side of spirituality and like seeing through the veil, and like that shit's terrifying. That shit's terrifying. That shit's fucking terrifying, and feeling like you have like schizophrenia or something as whoever the fuck would diagnose you as. You know, feeling like you are having a psychotic breakdown type of thing. Like everyone's mask falls off. You see shit. You see shit I can't even explain, and it's genuinely fucking horrifying. And that's your first spiritual awakening. I mean, you know, there's dark nights of the souls. There's, you know, revelations, etc. There's always epiphanies and realizations and whatnot. But you have something like really intense like that, fuck, dude, that shit was scary. That's the type of shit you have when you go through like a near-death experience, which I did. So that shit was horrifying. And then, you know, I was told there's another there's another spiritual awakening, and I was told I would go through it, and I didn't know what to expect exactly. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I was hoping to get to a point of non-judgment in a way, just because it doesn't benefit me, and it doesn't feel good to be holding on to, you know, feelings of like deep grief or what's the word? Anger. Oh my God, dude, so much anger, right? So much anger in the world. And I was just like, I don't want to feel that. Like, it doesn't feel good to feel that, whatever. Whatever. And pretty good at detachment, but I absolutely don't repress my emotions, so I am going to feel everything. But what I don't appreciate is when I feel other people's ish, right? And as an empath, it takes a lot for me to like really disconnect from that. Where was I going with all this? Okay, anyway, so fast forward. Been living with this chick for 4 months now, something like that. And because I don't care, because there was no emotional attachment, I was able to view things objectively. And what I witnessed and what I saw were, you know, her, like as soon as I moved in, she wanted me to lie about having a cat. Hi, cutie, as my cat walks in. Okay. She wanted me to lie about having my cat. It reminded me a lot of my mom. My mom wanted me to lie about having a cat at one time when I applied for a different apartment too. So like right off the bat, and like this is where like I should have just like seen the red flags and actually done something about it. But you know, right off the bat, it was like, okay, lying. Then she wanted me to lie for her for I don't even know. Like she was on the phone with someone one time, and she like was like, "Can you pretend to be my mom on the phone?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And so she wanted me to lie again. I've witnessed her like gossip about other people. And yeah, I've seen her lie like a lot. And so, you know, I should have taken that into account, and I don't know, I guess I am now. But anyway, lots of projections. You know, she called me racist. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into that. And I was just like, yeah, that's not true, and you're just projecting onto me. But lots of other projections as well, lots of hypocrisy in regards to creating rules, creating house rules that I was expected to follow, but she was not. And when I was like, okay, I'm cool with that, but you are doing the thing that you were complaining to me about doing, like what is going on there? Where is the discrepancy? I don't get this. It doesn't make sense. Like, that's the thing. These things don't make sense to me. If it makes sense, that's fine. But when it doesn't make sense, I don't know what to do with it, right? And you know, it is true what they say, like people can only meet you at their level of consciousness. And so it was kind of like I was trying to say things a million ways, and she couldn't understand what I was saying, because she just couldn't. Like, she couldn't. Like, not that she didn't want to, like, she literally could not, like, doesn't have the capacity. I really think people have to meet themselves at their own depths to be able to meet you there. And if they don't, then they don't. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, anyway, all this to say, like, I've had many disagreements. There's been a lot of tension, right? And recently found out she tried to go behind my back about something else, etc., whatever. And I just didn't care. Like, I just don't care. I don't care anymore, because my point of view now that I see is like that she's living in distortion, that she's living in an illusion, and that illusion is brought on by fear. Like, why would you ever, and this goes for her, but this goes for a lot of other people that have projected onto me as well. I think this just goes for people in general who, like, you know, subscribe to the Matrix paradigm, is like fear dictates their lives and dictates their moves and their motives, and that's what I'm realizing now. And so it's easier for me to not take it personally, because what other reason would you have to lie, right? Like, you know, and I'm not saying I'm better than it. Like, I've lied, I've been scared. Oh my gosh, dude, I can like see this white glow around me. Holy fuck, my aura's popping off. But yeah, like, I don't know, man. I'm just like, I'm at this point now where I'm just like, I don't care, and it's not from a place of like bitterness or anything. Like, I genuinely like don't care, but not from apathy, just from a space of like more detachment and more of like, yeah, like, I know what it feels like to feel scared and feel desperate, right? And be in survival mode, right? And do things out of desperation, because you're afraid that if you speak your truth, that if you show up honestly, you will, I don't know, I guess like not get what you want or something, or things won't go your way. And it is very true that if you show up honestly and authentically, distortions and false systems will crumble around you. And when people are living their lives for those systems and living in illusions and living in falsities, to have their entire world start to crumble around them, of course, is going to be very uncomfortable, right? So it's like, I get that, and I also get that, like, I don't know, man, like, I've had near-death experiences. I've been in multiple various types of abusive situations that were all very, very painful, right? And I say all this to say that, like, I always almost immediately had the higher perspective of, you wouldn't be doing this type of thing if you weren't deeply wounded, right? Like, if you knew better, you probably do better, right? You would hope. And maybe not. Like I don't know. Like I also genuinely believe that there is absolutely evil in the world. Look at Artemis, my cute little kitty. Because I've seen it, right? So it's like there is evil. I genuinely believe that there's evil in the world, and I also genuinely believe that a lot of people do shit out of fear, and it's unconscious. Come on, babe. And it's unconscious, and when you're unconsciously living out of fear, then you will do shit like lie and steal and cheat, etc. Because I don't know, I guess like you don't know any better, right? You don't know any different. And I don't know. So then it's like two things. One is like I used to see the higher perspective, but in a way that would overwrite my own feelings, right? Like I would get abused and I would be like, oh, like they must be going through something hard or whatever. Like they probably were abused as a kid too, so like who am I to be upset? But I didn't allow myself enough space and time to really process what had happened to me and give myself the love and compassion that I needed, and instead just like excuse their behavior. So like that was something that I had to work through with myself, was like, no, like yes, two things can be true at once, right? Like that can be true for them, but also it doesn't make it okay what happened to me, and I have a right to be upset and to also want to be treated better in the future. Duh. What are you doing, babe? All right. So like two things are true at once, and I think it's really difficult for people to have the capacity to be able to hold two opposing truths at the same time. But that is what life is, right? But it is hard to come to terms with, and it does require being able to see everything at once, and that can be disorienting. It takes up a lot of space, you know. And then the other thing is like, lost my train of thought, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so the other thing is like, I think people live out of fear and they're not aware of it, so they're not conscious of it. Then there are people who are conscious of what they're doing and like are purposely emotionally manipulative, and I've met those fuckers too. And you know, that sucks, right? That fucking sucks when that happens. When you're watching someone like purposely hurt you and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like I haven't done anything vindictive or like that to you. I'm not really sure why you're doing it to me. But what I've learned from all of this, especially from as being so empathetic, and I don't really give a shit what people say about empaths, you know. I know that the empaths get a bad rep, right? I've heard whatever. I heard some woman be like, you're an empath because of your childhood trauma. This isn't a good thing. I don't know. I think you can eat a bag of dicks about it, right? Like, I think that being an empath is a beautiful thing. Boundaries are necessary. Simultaneously, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to respect your boundaries. But also, being an empath is actually super cool. I'm going to give it a good rep. I'm going to put it under a good light. So, you know, fuck off about that. But, like, I think being an empath is cool because it means that I can immediately sense the energy and know what places are and are not for me, what places I want to stay in, what places I want to leave, what places are draining me, what places are filling me, right? So it's like you can use empathy as a tool to put yourself in spaces that fill you up and light you up and make you feel good, make you feel nice and yummy, and like you can show up authentically and take up a whole fuck ton of space about it and not have to like hide or dim yourself, right? And then there are other spaces where you're like, oh, like it doesn't feel good to be here, so I can make the decision to leave, right? I don't have to endure this, you know. So that's the thing about empathy. But anyway, what I was gonna say about being an empath and being someone who is projected on, being someone who like other people would, you know, I would watch them purposely be vindictive or like mean to me and like try to purposely hurt my feelings, or like be emotionally manipulative like on purpose, you know, and it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make logical sense to me. And that's another thing. I don't think that it does make sense. Like I think that's part of it is just like it doesn't make sense because it's an illusion, right? So how could it make sense? It doesn't. So that's kind of the purpose of the distortion, is to have you run around in circles in your mind of like trying to make sense out of something that simply doesn't make sense. So that's one part. But another part is like realizing that like that's just even more pain. Like if it caused me so much pain for these people to be abusive and emotionally manipulative, etc., especially when it's like someone really close to you and you're seeing that they're doing it on purpose, like it causes so much pain, or it caused so much pain to me, I should say. But what I'm realizing now is like a lot of that pain wasn't even mine, right? And that's like their pain. And so it's like, I think people who project onto others, people who live in fear, like that's got to be a pretty fucking shitty life, right? To just like constantly live in fear instead of faith. Like that fucking sucks, dude. I do not, I don't want that life, you know? So it's like, that sucks. That's a shitty ass life that you've got going on for yourself. So like, that blows, like, right? Like that's probably painful, right? And then if you don't have awareness around it, then you just feel like confused and in pain, and that sucks, and in pain and in fear. So I'm not excusing this at all. I don't think that any type of abuse should be excused. I'm really not for that. Simultaneously, I think that people are only, one, I don't think everyone's meant to wake up. Two, I think that people are only able to wake up as much as they're able to. And I think that if you've lived your entire life in a distortion, unaware, and then you meet someone that is awakened and their presence is acting as a mirror to shine the light on the distortions and whatever, like that's going to be really uncomfortable for your ego, and it's going to shatter your reality. And I don't think a lot of people are able to handle that. And I don't think that that makes them wrong or right or good or bad or anything like that. I think that in itself is an illusion. Could we not? You're interrupting my TED talk. But yeah, I think overall it's just like these are people who live in pain and fear, and so they don't know any better other than to continue living in cycles of pain and fear and live that way, and just continue doing it, because to shatter that illusion, to wake up from that, would, you know, create like an ego death. Super uncomfortable. And yeah, basically shatter their entire sense of reality. And I don't think a lot of people are equipped to be able to handle that. Hi. So yeah, that's one thing. But yeah, I finally I don't care anymore, and not in a way that's like cold, just in a way that's like I don't feel bad for them. I don't know, maybe I'll get to that point. It's eventually, of like actually feeling sorry for these people, but mostly like I'm just kind of like like I don't know. And hi, cutie. I think that's a little bit of my ego. Like there's a part of me that wants to be like, well, I don't feel bad because you fucked me over and you were purposely mean to me. And there's a little bit of that. I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of that, but mostly I don't know, man. Even that doesn't feel right in my being. I always know it's true because it feels correct in my body, and I have to go through a lot of layers until something really resonates. So I always feel like I have to go through the ego in order to get to soul truth. And so this has been a consistent pattern that like I've been trying to wrap my head around, why people do the things that they do and why this keeps happening, etc. And what I can get out of it, right? And what the higher perspective is. You know, people are always like, higher perspective, and I always, you know, hear these people that are like, love and light, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I think it's just like yeah, man, like a lot of people are really scared and they're in a lot of pain and they're doing things unconsciously and they're doing things from survival mentality, thinking that if they are honest, then they won't be able to get what they want. And honestly, you probably fucking won't, bro, because what you want is probably from your fucking ego, and what's true is from your soul. So no, you probably won't fucking get what you want, motherfucker. And I think it's better that way, personally, but other people are free to disagree. And where the fuck did this mosquito come from? You fucking blood-sucking piece of shit. Get the fuck out of my room, motherfucker. I think I caught it. No, I didn't. Fuck. Sometimes I do. A lot of times I do. Anyway. What was the other thing I was gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. I feel calm. I feel peace. I don't know. Man, I'm someone who, like, I would rather have the truth even if it's uncomfortable, because I'm gonna feel a lot more uncomfortable if I don't know what the truth is, and if there's like some illusionary game going on around me where someone's trying to get one over on me and I'm like left out, like not knowing, right? Oh, this is what the fuck I was gonna say. I think so many people haven't been given the space, right, to feel safe in expressing who they really are, and they don't feel safe to like truly be seen or truly be heard, so they perform. Ruining my video with your noises. So they perform, and like the performance is unconscious, and this stems a lot of times from like childhood. Like they didn't have supportive parents, because their parents couldn't fucking be supportive of them themselves, you know, like it goes on and on and on. But they didn't feel safe to be seen and heard, and so then when they meet someone like me who acts as a mirror for authenticity, boom, rhyming, it creates a level of vulnerability and like exposure. And I mean, it's happened to me too. Like, I'm not saying like I'm this grandiose fucking, I don't know, whatever the fuck. Like, I've had people who are more awakened than I am, because there's layers to this shit, right? And I feel exposed in their presence, and it feels uncomfortable, and it shows me where there's room for growth, right? But it is uncomfortable. And so I do that to other people. And I think that's just it, is like learning how to feel safe with yourself and like express yourself and give that safety, that sense of safety and self-expression to yourself, as opposed to looking at it, seeking it outside of yourself. But yeah, I had my roommate, like I remember the one time, and it really, like, I took it personally at first, because this is not something that I've ever received feedback like this before. But over many other things that have happened, I realized this in itself was a projection. But I tend to be someone that, like, I'm that person that people, you know, they tell their whole life story to. People tend to feel very safe around me because of my presence, and they tend to feel seen and heard from me because I can meet people at many different levels of depth, because I've met myself very deeply. Not all the way to the core of my being. I'm sure there's much more to explore, and I look forward to doing so. I look forward to doing so and excavating, right? But anyway, that's kind of something that I do. It's something that I do with my work too. Is like I create a safe space for people to meet themselves at deeper levels. It's kind of my specialty. So my roommate had told me that she didn't feel seen or heard by me, and mind you, I'd only known this girl for like a month, so it was kind of a strange thing for me to hear. But I did take it to heart at first, and I was like, what the heck? Like, that is not feedback. I've never received that before. I've always been told the opposite from people, like they feel very safe in my presence, etc. And so I was like, wow, that's really strange. Like, I've never received that feedback. And I like sat with it for a while, right? And what I realize now is, like, I think when people aren't used to being seen or heard, or, you know, on a deeper level, I think it feels exposing and they feel vulnerable. And so that creates a defense mechanism within them where they want to project, because they like, it's new, right? It's new uncharted territory, and that's scary. So I get it, but I think that's what happens. I think people get defensive and they like lean more into fear, and that fear results in projections. And I don't know, man, like my survival self was like the caregiver, the peacemaker, and the fixer, and the strong one. So like, I'm not gonna do any of that shit. I'm not gonna take care of you. I'm not gonna fix your shit. I'm not gonna like, nope, don't care. Like that's on you. Not my fucking problem. I'm just gonna give you your energy back to you, because that's projection is not mine to take on, and I'm not here to like fix you or mother you or any of this shit. So, but yeah, that's something that I've noticed is like, I think people have such deep rooted fears of being seen and heard, and so even if they wait, this is good. Even, and again, like I'm saying this from my own experience too, it's like, but even if they show up as their true selves, they might do it purposely in the wrong environments where people can't actually recognize them. So it's either, damn, it's either they wear a mask and a facade and put on a performance in front of people who actually could see them because it feels exposing, and they don't want to be rejected on a core level for who they are. It's a lot easier for your persona to be rejected. And again, like I used to fucking do this, bro. I used to do it, so I get it. But it's like, it's easier for your persona to be rejected, your performance to be rejected, because you're like, ha ha ha, gotcha, like that wasn't even the real me, so it's fine that you rejected it because it didn't actually hurt me, and I didn't have to actually show up vulnerably and put myself out there in that way that was honest, right? So it's fine. Simultaneously, that creates dissonance between yourself and intimacy. You can't have any intimacy if you're not showing up authentically. So it blocks you from others instilling pain upon you, but then you end up instilling pain upon yourself because you're blocking yourself from like real love and genuine connections finding you also. Fuck! Yeah. And then like, yeah, then you might show up as your true self, but it's in spaces where people, like in front of people who wear masks, so they can't, so it feels, so it feels safer, like unraveling a lot here. So it feels safer if you show up as your true self in spaces where people can't recognize you, because they can't reject the real you because they can't actually see it, because they themselves are masquerading. And then and then if you show up as your real self in front of other people who are also authentic, it can feel really scary because they actually can see you clearly, and you weren't allowed to be seen or heard before. So that feels scary and intimidating because you feel exposed now, because you're like, oh my god, but what if they reject the real me? 3333 on the clock. What if they reject the real me? That's so much more scary than someone rejecting this performance version of me, right? Fuck. Yeah, man. So that's it. And I feel like with myself too, like because I channel source, but also because I'm very energetically open as like an empath and a light worker and a neurodivergent person, I feel like I have so many fucking different personalities all the time, that sometimes it's hard for me to pin down who the real me is, because I will be unconsciously absorbing someone else's energy. And that's something that like I've been working on, of being like really sovereign, or like working towards that, of like, this is my energy, this is your energy, that's not mine. But if you're in like a really crowded space or something, or like you're having an off day, or like you're really stressed out, or like something like that, like it does kind of lower your energetic barriers. And I find for myself, like I might show up in different ways, and I do, dude, I show up in different ways all the time. Like right now I feel like this is like my bro self. I don't know what this is. This is like my chill, like bro self. And this is me, right? But then also like my inner child is like super playful and like fun. And then I have another version of me that's like really like sexy and mysterious. And like that version exists too. And there are different versions of me. Hold on, wait, this song. God, I fucking love Hail the Sun. What a fucking cool band, man. I just saw them live twice. Oh, so good. But their one song I fucking love, 60-minute sessions. Their whole album, I'm just going on another tangent here. Their whole album, Divine Intertention, man, as someone who's went through a spiritual awakening, I was like, fucking resonates, man. I fucking get it. But anyway, sorry. That was so ego driven. I don't care. I have an ego. I'm a fucking human. But anyway, their one song, I'll never change. I am the way I fluctuate. Never the same. Call it the way I cope with how and where I go. Lyrics have never rung truer. So yeah, man, I feel like different parts of me will come through at different times. And right now I'm showing up as this version of me, but in another situation I might show up as a different version of me. And it's not that I'm chameleonizing or like people pleasing, at least definitely not consciously. It's just like different energies bring out different parts of me, you know? And that's not me pretending or faking. I'm just like moving and fluctuating with the energy around me. Some places bring out like my cat. I'm not even gonna tell you where it is actually, because this place is like fucking paradise and I kind of want to keep it to myself. But I was just at this place and it was like fucking heaven on earth, like is the only way I can describe it. It was such a sacred place, and that's why I'm not telling you the information, motherfucker. But it was such a sacred place, and like I felt so fucking at peace, right? Felt so at peace. Simultaneously, like right now I'm near LA, bro. Energy out here, I hate cities. Too hustle bustle, not into it. I'm not like in LA, but I am in LA County, which is close enough to the goddamn city. Too close, if you ask me. But yeah, man, like I don't like cities. I don't like that energy. I don't like fight or flight kind of energy. It's really difficult for me to separate myself from that. If I'm in nature, I'm like at peace, you know? I feel like to bring out your true self, you need to just like, I don't know, at least for me, like I need to just like be in nature for like days on end. Like, you know, when you go to camping, maybe you don't, I don't know, do you go camping? Do you go camping? Who's watching this? And you're, or like, I don't know, even one time I went to a festival for 3 days, but because I was out in nature for 3 days, that like did it for me. And I didn't do drugs because I don't do that. And the music was balls, horrible, but it was on farmland, really gorgeous, and I got to hike a lot, and I got to camp, so that was sick. And man, I don't know, it just like resets you, right? You know, being out in nature like that, it resets you. And it allows you to kind of like get rid of other people's energies, and just like bask in your own fucking glory. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with this. That's all. I think that was everything I had to say. Just that like now I don't take it personally. I don't take things personally. Some things are still annoying, but I kind of just find it funny at this point, to be honest with you. Like, for example, my roommate and I had an agreement that every other month, like I would send her half the rent and she would send me, or like I would send her half the rent and she would pay the full rent amount, you know, like send out the check or whatever. And then we would alternate. Then she would pay me half the rent and I would send the full amount over. And this month she just like went behind my back and like separately sent out her half of the check and like mailed it out. And so I was like, hey, do you like, are you gonna pay me? Like I'm waiting to receive the money so I can send out the rent check. And she was like, oh, I already sent it out. And I was like, okay, well that like would have been cool for me to know so that I could also send out my half. Like I didn't realize we were doing this separately. You didn't communicate with that with me, but okay. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then after we had that conversation, she purposely took the envelopes that had the address written on it of where to of where to send the rent payment. And I don't know, man. It's like it was so petty that like what am I supposed to do other than like laugh? Like I don't really know. I don't know what the point of that was. If this is like purposeful, like you being vindictive, like I don't know what this is, but it's obviously some type of like game and illusion that like I'm just not gonna be a part of. So anyway, I had to like separately text the landlord and be like, hey, my roommate like didn't inform me that we weren't doing the thing that we had been doing for the last 4 months. And she also didn't, and like she also purposely hid the address so that I couldn't send in my half of the payment. I don't really know what the objective with that is, but okay. And so I got the address, but it's just like stuff like that where it's just like, yeah, I guess I could be mad because you're obviously trying to do something. I don't know what you're trying to do, but you're obviously trying to do something. But it's just kind of funny because it's just like, what is that? Like, what what is that? What is it? It's not worth my time and energy trying to figure out. There's no logic to it because it's an illusion. So I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna laugh about it. But yeah, man, I feel really at peace. And in the past, when stuff like this would happen, I took it really hard. I took it to heart. I took it really personally. And this time, I'm just like straight up like, all right, like you're living in a different reality. You're living in a reality that's based in fear and scarcity and survival. And I don't know, man. I don't live in that reality. I have no desire to. So I'm just gonna keep walking in faith and love and truth and keep going that direction. And of course, that is going to create a division. But I no longer feel the need to mend that gap like I used to, because that was my survival self of like playing the peacekeeper and needing to mend that gap, where now I'm just like, you live in fear, you're over here. I live in faith, I'm over here. I'm going to keep walking this way, and you're going to keep walking that way. And our paths are most likely never going to meet again unless you change your direction, because I am not changing mine to your direction. But yeah, I think there's, and that's not, again, like not to say I don't ever get scared. I just have to remind myself that it's an illusion, but it's more of like resonance within me, like an energetic standpoint of like embodiment, you know? And I do think that it gets wobbly, right? Heard something. It gets wobbly, right? Like sometimes you're like walking in faith and then you kind of like dip out over here and you get like a little scared and then you gotta come back. But I think the more that you go this direction, it becomes easier and easier. And simultaneously, the more that you go that direction, it becomes harder and harder to walk in faith, right? This was a long rant. But yeah, these are the these are my Scorpio full moon realizations. And it's always interesting when you finally have clarity, because for me, it's like I will know that there is junk, right? Like junk, clouds, haziness, but I won't know what the truth is until I go through it, until I reach that point of clarity, right? And I always know when I meet it, because it feels like peace. And I think that's how you know. That's how you know, honestly, like whether you are living in truth or a distortion. And again, like, should have seen me earlier today. I was freaking out. I was like, I'm spiraling. I needed like support from friends. I was like, I'm spiraling. Like something is off. Like what is going on? And then later that day, I found out, oh, my roommate went and behind my back and like paid the rent and wasn't planning on paying me or telling me about it. She was just gonna have me fend for myself and not figure it out and just kind of be fucked had I not brought it up in the conversation. So then once I had that truth, I was like, okay, now I feel clarity. Now I know what to do. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Like when you're living in distortion, it feels disorienting. And then once you have the truth, it's clarifying and it feels calm. Like, I'm not mad at all. I could be mad, but it's not worth my fucking energy. I was mad earlier. I've been mad the last couple days about this bullshit that I've been dealing with her. But now I'm just like, oh, well, now I know the truth, so it can't affect me. I think when there's so many illusions and distortions going on, trying to get me out of my own peace, it's annoying. It's just annoying. But you know, I think that happens, and that's part of being human. It's like you will get overstimulated, etc. You will get overwhelmed, and it's just a matter of like easing off the gas, coming back to center. And then when you do, it feels real good. It feels really good. All right. Peace.